Today, we've heard about peace building work happening all over the world. We started in Vietnam, went to Ethiopia, Chile, South Africa, and stopped off in Thailand just now. This presentation is very different. For starters, I'm sorry to say, but we're not going anywhere. In fact, I want you to stay right where you are. And for the next 12 minutes or so, you might like to imagine with me that you're sitting on this couch. It's where a client of mine who came to see me for therapy was sitting just before you. When that client initially called my office to book in for therapy, over the phone, they told me they were feeling burnt out and exhausted. "Say more," I said. "I've stopped being effective. I'm overwhelmed, and I might even be having an identity crisis." "I see. And what is it you'd like to get out of therapy?" I asked. "It's too much. There's so much pressure on me to do something about all of society's problems. I don't know where to start." "Well, let's just start with your name," I said. But there was a pause and some hesitation. "Well, I'm like kind of a big deal," they said. "And I can't let anyone know I'm struggling. My name's Peace. Peacebuilding?" Okay, Peacebuilding. How's this Saturday after lunch at about 2:30 p.m? G'day, everyone. My name is Alex, and my job is to take organisations, institutions, and sometimes even entire disciplines to therapy. Over the past 2 years, I've been studying for my Master of Social Work. And metaphorically, at least, I've been seeing peace building for therapy pretty regularly. Today, I want to welcome you to the couch as I share with you the lessons from my metaphorical therapeutic work with my kind of big deal client, peace building, and explain why focusing on ourselves creates the conditions for peace to thrive everywhere. Something that I call the lantern approach to peace building. At its heart, the lantern approach to peace building takes the idea that systems are made up of parts. Parts are made up of people. And people are made up of light. Light represents the quality within each and every human being that is sacred. Human rights scholars define this as inalienable. Religions call it divinity. You and I might call it humanness. And the symbol of light helps us visualize it. Throughout our lives, things can happen that affect the brightness and strength of our light. Certain conditions, mindsets, or experiences can even change the way our light reaches others. But the thing about our light is that we actually have a lot of influence over it. So it stands to reason that if I can focus on the quality of my own light, I can have influence over the parts of systems I live and work in. If others around me also focus on their light too, together we can enhance the quality of light of the system as a whole, because the whole is just a mirror of the parts after all. Peace building came to see me for therapy because they were experiencing flashlight syndrome. It's what happens when it's been really hard to focus on the quality of our own light because of the urgency of troubles around us. Flashlight syndrome, an entirely made-up diagnosis, by the way, is when we focus all of our energy, training, and resources on trying to fix external problems. We get distracted from the important work of deepening our relationships to ourselves. The symptoms of flashlight syndrome include being a workaholic, exhaustion, feeling overwhelmed, and vicarious trauma. One of the telltale signs is practicing that particularly unpeaceful brand of peace building, otherwise known as the superhero complex. Just like an actual flashlight, when we feel this way, our light can be isolating, create sharp shadows, and narrow our field of view, making it nearly impossible to see the bigger picture. The thing that keeps us in flashlight mode the most is the belief that we alone carry the burden of change. When my kind of big deal client Peacebuilding came into the room, they took off their cape and flopped onto the couch. Their time on the front lines had generated feelings of urgency, overwhelmed them with a sense of duty, and made them feel guilty for focusing on themselves. And you know what? It happens to the best of us. I think that if you or I had to think of a moment of urgency, overwhelm, or duty, the feelings of flashlight might be pretty familiar to us too. As a social worker, my role is to bring more and more attention to what generates healing. Systems are limited in their capacity to heal themselves, but humans are not. Even the most egregious traumas can be integrated and healed with the right supports. But we have to start small. And so my work with Peacebuilding over the next few weeks was to help them focus more and more on themselves. At first, this felt totally counterproductive to them. They asked, "Isn't it selfish to focus on me when so many others have it worse?" But with gentle guidance, patience, support, and non-judgment, over time, their symptoms of flashlight syndrome started to reduce. Peacebuilding noticed that when they engaged in compassionate self-inquiry, their light started to radiate outwards and their field of view expanded, helping them reconnect with a felt sense of peace. Over time, Peacebuilding answered their own question and saw that when they focused on themselves, their ability to create positive change dramatically improved. Just like a ripple effect, the tiniest steps towards healing produced huge shifts in the system, and sometimes in unexpected places. As Peacebuilding transformed their approach from flashlight to lantern, they went from wanting the world to change to wanting to be the change they saw in the world. And you know, it's not just social work that believes the lantern approach to be the best one. Research from neurobiology tells us that our own internal states can have a profound effect on the emotional states of others, because as humans, we're hardwired for connection. And it's not just in some abstract metaphorical way, because our ability to regulate and embody calm compassion is intricately linked to the mirror neuron system, a set of receptors in the brain that enable simulation of another person's internal state. This means that when we focus on ourselves, not only can we impact the strength and reach of our light, but we can also affect how others experience its clarity and warmth. And this is such a gift, because when we share our light and our hope with the world, it truly can be felt and experienced by others. But we have to want it for ourselves first. Remember, when individuals within the system move towards lantern, they help the system as a whole be more lantern. And here's the best bit. Even if we can only take tiny steps, anything that produces more healing at any level is a net gain for humanity. As an organisational change consultant, I advocate for the lantern approach, prioritising internal dynamics over external challenges. Recently, a non-profit organisation, let's call them Food Aid for Peace, sought my advice on improving the outcomes of their aid for recipient communities. Initially surprised, Food Aid for Peace accepted my suggestion to turn their attention inward, shifting the front lines of peacebuilding back into their own staff and teams. To do this, they practiced self-inquiry, spent time getting into right relationship with each other, and attended to their own well-being. And as a result, challenging conversations were more possible, which improved accountability. There was less staff turnover, which created more trust. And the more that staff acknowledged their own limits and vulnerabilities, the more room they made to connect with each other and the recipient community. The NGO noticed changes, but more importantly, so did the people they serve, who felt more listened to and experienced the organisation as more authentic, attuned, and compassionate. These impacts can remind us all that work on the self is inseparable from work on society. One enables the other. And while this shift inward may not be intuitive for all of us, it forms a crucial starting point for peacebuilding work, one I've been truly privileged to explore with the support of the Rotary Peace Fellowship. Maybe you're thinking, it's too late for me, or I'm just not that kind of person. Well, if there's only one thing you take away from this talk, let it be this. We all have the capacity for lantern. It's just a matter of imagining beyond what we can see right now. The reality is, peace building can't go to therapy, but we can. And when we do, we embark on the process of gradually becoming more lantern in our approach. Oh, and by the way, in case you haven't figured it out by now, lantern is just another word for healing. Of course, you might substitute therapy for any number of things that feel relevant to you and your culture. But the point is to consistently direct our attention inward, engaging in the kind of self-reflection that creates internal space for knowing our darkness well. Because only then can we be truly present with the darkness of others. So, where to from here? Well, they say that peacebuilding is the only job that you can never fully leave. So like it or not, we all have plenty of opportunity to practice the lantern approach. Starting right now, we can envision our relationship by starting with the self and scaling up over time. But you don't have to take it from me or my kind of big deal client peace building. The shift from the solitary beam of the flashlight to the expansive glow of the lantern is so much better felt than explained. So now it's your turn. Welcome. Where would you like to start? Thank you.